Ever wondered how sugar is made? Well, it all starts with the harvesting of sugarcane or sugar beets. Let's first talk about sugarcane. This tropical plant is typically ready for harvest when it's mature and has accumulated sufficient sucrose. That's the sweet stuff we're after. This usually happens between 12 to 16 months after planting. Harvesters cut down the cane, often by hand, but in some larger operations, machinery is used. It's a race against the clock though. Once cut, sugarcane begins to lose its sugar content, so it's crucial to process it as quickly as possible. On the flip side, we have sugar beets. These root vegetables are a bit more patient and can be harvested in the late autumn or early winter, when they've reached maturity. Unlike their tropical counterparts, sugar beets aren't as rushed. After being pulled from the ground, they can be stored for a while without losing their sugar content. But whether it's cane or beet, the goal is the same: to extract the sweet sucrose stored within. It's fascinating, isn't it? How something as commonplace as sugar has such an intricate journey from field to table. Now, you might be wondering why we use two different plants to produce the same product. Well, it's all about geography. Sugarcane prefers a tropical, warm climate. Think places like Brazil or the Caribbean. Sugar beets, on the other hand, are more cold tolerant and are often grown in cooler climates like Europe and parts of North America. So, depending on where in the world you are, your spoonful of sugar might have started its life as a tall, leafy stalk waving in the warm breeze, or as a hardy root vegetable nestled in the cold ground. Either way, the process from plant to sweetener is a testament to human ingenuity and our love for the sweet things in life. Now that we've harvested our sugarcane or sugar beets, we can begin the extraction process. Once the sugarcane or sugar beets are harvested, the next step is to extract the juice. This process differs slightly depending upon whether we're dealing with sugarcane or sugar beets, but the end goal is the same. We want to draw out the sweet juice that contains the sugar we're after. When it comes to sugarcane, the process involves a fair bit of tough love. The harvested cane is crushed, often using heavy rollers in a mill. This crushing process breaks down the fibrous stalks and helps to release the juice inside. It's a bit like squeezing out a sponge, but instead of water, we're extracting a sweet, sugary liquid. This liquid is collected, marking the completion of the extraction process for sugarcane. Shifting our attention to sugar beets, the extraction process is a bit more gentle. Rather than crushing, the harvested beets are sliced into thin strips or chips. These sliced beets are then given a hot bath, being soaked in hot water. The heat helps to break down the cell walls of the beet slices, and the sugar-containing juice is drawn out into the water. Once the soaking process is complete, the sweetened water is collected, and just like that, we have our sugar beet juice. Now, it's worth noting that at this stage, the extracted juice, whether from sugarcane or sugar beets, is far from the pure sweetness we associate with sugar. It's a murky, impure liquid that contains not only sugar, but also various other elements from the plants, such as waxes and plant material. But don't worry, this is all part of the process. The next step is to clarify the juice, which involves using lime and other substances to remove these impurities. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. That's a story for another scene. With the juice extracted, it's time to clarify it to remove any impurities. So stick around as we continue our journey to understanding how sugar is made. Opening. The extracted juice is impure, so we need to clarify it by adding lime and other substances. The journey of sugar from farm to table is a fascinating one, and we're now at a critical stage: clarification and evaporation. After the juice has been extracted from either sugarcane or sugar beets, it's not quite ready for consumption. It contains impurities like plant material, waxes, and other compounds that need to be removed. This is where clarification comes in. Clarification is a bit like a sugar detox, purifying the juice and setting the stage for the sweetness we all crave. Lime is added to the juice, which reacts with the impurities and causes them to separate from the sugar. Once the lime is added, the juice is heated to a specific temperature. The heat causes the lime and the impurities to form a precipitate, which is then removed, leaving behind a much clearer juice. This process is a bit like making a cup of tea, where the tea bag is removed after it has imparted its flavor to the water. In this case, the tea bag is the precipitate, and the tea is the clarified juice. Now we move on to the next phase: evaporation. The goal here is to remove water from the clarified juice, thereby increasing the concentration of sugar. This is done by heating the juice in a series of stages, each one reducing the water content and increasing the sugar concentration. It's a bit like reducing a sauce in cooking, where the process of simmering concentrates the flavors. Each stage of evaporation takes the juice closer to its final sweet destination. The result is a thick sweet syrup, rich in sugar and ready for the next stage of the process. Closing. Now that we have a concentrated juice, we can move on to crystallization. Crystallization is where we start to see sugar as we know it form. The process of crystallization is a fascinating one. It's here that we begin to see the transformation of the concentrated juice into the sweet, granulated substance we're all familiar with. So how does this process work? After the juice has been concentrated through evaporation, it's cooled down. This cooling process triggers the formation of sugar crystals. These crystals are essentially sugar in its most recognizable form. However, they're still mixed in with the remaining juice, which isn't quite as sweet. That's where our next step, centrifugation, comes into play. Centrifugation is a process that uses centrifugal force to separate the sugar crystals from the rest of the liquid. Picture a centrifuge machine, much like a high-speed spinning wheel. The sugar mixture is added into this machine, and as it spins, the heavier sugar crystals are flung to the outer edges, separating from the lighter liquid. But what happens to this liquid? Well, it doesn't go to waste. This liquid, now known as molasses, is a byproduct of the sugar-making process. Molasses itself has numerous uses, from being a sweetener in baking to a key ingredient in the making of rum. It's worth noting that the centrifugation process may be repeated several times. Each round of centrifugation results in a different type of sugar. The first round typically produces raw sugar, a slightly brown coarse sugar. Subsequent rounds can produce different grades of sugar, from brown sugar to the white granulated sugar we commonly see in stores. So there you have it. Through the processes of crystallization and centrifugation, we've managed to transform the concentrated juice from sugarcane or sugar beets into sugar crystals. But we're not quite done yet. With our sugar crystals separated, we can now dry them to produce raw sugar. More on that in our next segment. Stay tuned. The separated sugar crystals need to be dried to produce raw sugar. So how does the drying process work? Well, it's quite simple really. The wet sugar crystals are typically placed in a hot air dryer. This warm, dry air helps to evaporate any lingering moisture, leaving behind dry, raw sugar. This raw sugar, although not quite ready for your morning cup of tea, is an important step closer. Now, this raw sugar might look a bit different from the sugar you're used to. It's usually a darker color and contains some remaining impurities. This is where refining comes in. Refining is like giving our sugar a little spa day. It's a process that transforms our raw sugar into the sparkling white crystals we all know and love. This process includes washing, filtering, and decolorizing the sugar. The sugar is dissolved, treated with activated carbon or bone char to remove color, and then crystallized again. After the refining process, our sugar is almost ready to sweeten up your life. But before that, it has to go through the final stage, packaging. In the packaging stage, the sugar is transferred to a packaging line where it's placed into bags, boxes, or other containers. Now, this isn't just a simple pour and seal operation. The packaging process has to ensure that the sugar stays fresh and free from contaminants. It's all about preserving that sweet, pure flavor we've worked so hard to create. Once the sugar is packaged, it's ready to be distributed. It might make its way to your local supermarket, or perhaps to a bakery or a candy manufacturer. Wherever it ends up, it's sure to bring a touch of sweetness to someone's day. And there you have it. That's how sugar is made, from the field to your table. From the growth of sugarcane or sugar beets to the extraction, clarification, evaporation, and crystallization. We've followed the journey of these humble plants as they transform into the sugar that sweetens our lives. So the next time you sweeten your tea or bake a cake, remember the journey that sugar has taken to get to you. From the mature fields of sugarcane or the autumnal harvest of sugar beets, the journey of sugar is an intricate dance of nature and technology. The crushing and soaking processes that extract the sweet juice, the careful clarification and evaporative concentration that purify and intensify it, all come together to create this everyday staple. And let's not forget the crystallization and centrifugation, the transformation from liquid to solid, and the separation of sugar from molasses. Finally, the drying and refining stages that bring out the pure white granules we are so familiar with, ready to be packaged and delivered to your kitchen. Every step is a testament to our ingenuity and our ability to harness nature's gifts. Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more educational videos. Stay sweet.